Hey, I'm Brian, and today I want to talk to you about two things. One is my favorite joint ever, my favorite mortise and tenon joint, and that is the taper locking double mortise and tenon. The other thing I want to talk about is the Pantorouter, which is how I cut them now, and this is just a fabulous little machine. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. First, I want to talk about the joint and why I do this. Many years ago, when I made Windsor chairs, this is back in 1985, I learned from Dave Sawyer how to make Windsors. And he taught me how to use a specialized bit to cut a tapered, basically a conical hole in the Windsor chair seat and turn a tapered tenon on the top of the leg. And when tapping those in, it's a shoulderless joint, so it just goes in until it locks. What that means is it'll go in until it fills the joint, and then another tap compresses the wood around the perimeter of the joint, clamping the part and the glue together, making a perfect joint. I actually broke one of the Windsor chairs that Dave Sawyer made, and to get that joint apart, I had to bore it out and pick every fiber out with a chisel. There was no way that I knew to break that. I boiled it, I steamed it, I could not get that glue bond to break. And I wondered ever since, how can I get that benefit in all of my joints? And I started doing that about 10 years ago by having, I was actually bought a tapered end mill. This is a custom made router bit, which we use now. That's about a $200 bit, but you can get end mills a lot cheaper to try this out, see what you think about it. But the method of cutting these is identical to the method for cutting straight tenons and mortises on whatever, whether it's the multi-router or any other mortise and tenoning system, wood rat, woodpecker, doesn't matter. They all use a router to go around the perimeter of the tenon, and the taper is taken up by the bit. So what's great about this is basically everything about this is great. One of the things is you don't need to chamfer the ends of your tenon to let it go in. It just drops right in. You can see how much space there is around that tenon. So it's easy to slowly drop it in and not bother the glue joint until you're at the end. And at the end, it's squeezing all four planes of glue while sliding. So you're getting the effect of a rubbed glue joint. You're getting the effect of clamping, and you're getting a great fit. And what happens with all of that working together in a direction that you can't easily clamp, particularly on a double tenon. You can clamp a joint this way to get some of that benefit. But on a double tenon, you can't get the two planes in the center very easily. But this takes care of all of that. And then if you look really closely, you'll see that there's a very slight gap here at the shoulder line. And if I press really firmly, I should be able to close that gap. If I can't close that gap by hand pressure, then I can just use a dead blow mallet, and a couple of light taps will do it. The advantage of pressure is it's a little gentler and you can kind of feel what you're doing. But anyway, this locks together just like that. To get it unlocked, you just tap it and it comes right apart. That's when you test it, that's how I put it in, make sure everything fits. And then I want to look at the sides, cheeks of all of the tenons to see that there is a slight glaze from the compression. And that means that I got nice, good, uniform pressure all the way around. So when I first heard about the Pantarouter, it was a pretty impressive looking machine, really amazingly well designed. But it seemed, at least for our quasi-industrial situation, it seemed a little lightweight. And even the one that his buddy was selling that was made out of aluminum extrusion seemed like it was fairly vulnerable for a commercial setting. So I thought, well, maybe I'll make my own version of it. And so I got my machinist on site. We watched the video, looked at the machine, and he said, I don't know, Brian, it's gonna be hard to do, and it's gonna be hard to improve on that. And so not feeling particularly encouraged, I decided to just make a simple tenon cutting machine, which didn't end up being all that simple, and I had thousands of dollars invested in it. But it did work. It actually worked very well when I got it done. And I was actually, turned out, doing that while Max Sheldon was re-engineering Wandell's Pantorouter. And I got mine mostly done, and then I ran into Max Sheldon at a fine woodworking event, and he was demonstrating this, and I was really impressed. What he had done with the engineering and the casting and making everything about this more robust. He developed the systems for setting up parts to be a lot more efficient, a lot more user-friendly, easier to understand. The way this tenon template system works is, you get this little roller bearing that just rolls around this, and they're tapered, which means that if you adjust the position of this roller forward, you make a smaller tenon. This template, the way the whole system works out, is twice the size of what the router bit cuts. So that means that any error in your setting here is reduced by half in the actual tenon, which is a great feature and really makes it easier to get to the precision that you want. So the way the roller goes around here to get the tenon cut, to do the mortise, there's a smaller roller that goes inside here to get your mortises, which is what I did. I had this set up so that the same setting could do my double tenon, and then take that off, set up here, and do the double mortise, and then here to do the double tenon. This is not a tutorial on how to use this machine. It's a little bit about this machine and why I like it. I'm wanting to promote this because once I saw this machine, I basically set mine aside. This is so much better. It's actually a brilliant design in the beginning that Matt Wandell did, and then what Max Sheldon did, taking it a bit further. Now this feels like a machine that I would love to have. And so I got one, and I'm just super impressed with it, and I want to help them promote it. So I want to show you how I cut this double tenon, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the machine. So I'm going to put on my, well, let me take this off first. I want to take this shroud off. I don't have the dust collection hooked up. The dust collection works pretty well, but you can't see what's going on, and I want you to be able to see this action while I'm doing this. This has 2 screws that hold it on. I've already taken the first screw off. So again, I'm not going to try to do a whole tutorial on how to use it. There's some great videos on the website at Pantarouter. John Henry does a really good job with those. I'm just going to show you what I do and why I like it. So I do want to point one thing out, and that is that I like to bottom out on the initial cut with this tapered bit and go clockwise around the piece to create a climb cutting action that gives me a nice clean shoulder line. And then I can come out here and just start doing a conventional cut, which will be counterclockwise, to work my way up to a finished tenon. I went over that several times because you're not going to overcut this tenon. You're only going to potentially leave a little bit of material on. These templates prevent overcutting, and so I was just making sure that I got everything cut. My tenon cutter actually works the opposite. Its patterns are inside out of this, so it's taking me a little bit of time to get used to what feels like backwards. But anyway, there's a couple of beautiful tenons. I'm gonna check my depth, make sure I've got my depth right, and then I'll do a test fit real quick. So I checked my depth, it came out well. Now let's just try this fit. I'm gonna set it in here carefully, go all the way until I can't feel any more movement. And look, it's got about that 1/16 inch or less gap there, which means that it's tight already, and a little bit of a tap will create the lock. Now it's locked, and I can't get that out at all. But a little tap unlocks it, bam. So it's just a great joint. It's a big problem solver for assembly, speed, and added strength. I love the joint, and I just can't say enough about this little machine. It's just a little powerhouse, and I really want to help these guys do really well. So they've allowed us to offer a discount to our followers of $150 a machine. You can go to boggsbench.com and order one through our website. Use BoggsBench as the discount code, and they'll hook you up. Check out their videos too. The discount's $150, so it's a pretty good deal. Thanks for watching.